Pirates hold a certain fascination for many people. Children and adults alike are drawn to the charmingly rough image that's often depicted of them. Much of this image of pirates is based on popular depictions in movies like Pirates of the Caribbean, books like Treasure Island, and video games like Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. But there's actually a lot more to the pirates of the 17th and 18th centuries than meets the eye. Here's our video on bizarre pirate traditions you didn't know about. Before we get started, be sure to hit the like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Also, stick around until the end to learn one of the strangest things pirates did that you never knew about. Pirates rarely buried treasure. Anyone who knows pirates knows the tales of their hidden treasures, said to have been buried in far-flung corners of the world. The idea of finding a map on which the location of such a treasure was marked with an X is legendary. In countless films and books, the plot revolves around finding long-forgotten pirate treasure. But the truth is, burying gold and other valuables wasn't a regular pirate behavior, at least not for long. For example, it's proven that the English privateer Francis Drake hid a large amount of gold and silver on the coast of Panama in the second half of the 16th century. However, not for long, and only to avoid falling victim to a robbery. After a short time, Drake loaded the treasure onto his ships. Moreover, such occurrences are rare in the sources available to historians. In fact, it's more likely that pirates spent their loot lavishly soon after acquiring it, buying alcohol, the company of women, and becoming addicted to gambling. Women were pirates too. For a long time, it was assumed that almost exclusively men became pirates, but some courageous women also threw themselves into the adventure at sea. However, they couldn't simply travel to a port in their dress and hire themselves as privateers. Women were considered a disruptive factor on board ships. For one, it was assumed that they were unable to withstand the physical rigors of seafaring. On the other hand, many captains feared that the male crew would fight over a single woman on board. Therefore, women had to disguise themselves as men. According to the current state of knowledge, far more women actually did this than was thought for a long time. Many poor abandoned women in Europe saw no other way to get money. Others had the same urge for freedom as many male privateers. We only know today that women were pirates too because some earned the respect of their male colleagues and were able to identify themselves as female to them. These include the notorious Anne Bonny and Mary Read, who were wanted by the British Crown for multiple murders and robbery in the early 18th century. Stories like this prove that the idea of women being inferior to men isn't a new concept. Many of us may believe that this idea only popped up in more modern times. However, throughout all of human history, women have been looked down upon and kept from doing many of the things that men did. These days, we understand that this idea is fundamentally flawed. In fact, women are able to do just as much as men. In many cases, they may actually be able to do far more. Thankfully, as the tides have started to turn, true equality seems to be just around the corner. Though we mustn't forget the historical oppression of women, otherwise we open the possibility of it happening once again. Why did pirates wear earrings? In fact, it's not even certain that pirates wore earrings at all. The first depictions of pirates with earrings go back to the American artist Howard Pyle and his drawings from the late 19th century. However, these were based on the appearance of Spanish street thieves. However, some researchers believe that there may well have been good reasons for pirates to wear earrings. On the one hand, there was a widespread belief in the Caribbean that one had to pay for the passage to the final resting place in gold after death. One reason for wearing an earring was because it could not be washed away underwater. In the case of drowning, a pirate was then equipped with the appropriate gold to get themselves to the afterlife. On the other hand, wearing earrings could have been a sign of rebellion. In early modern England, the country from which many pirates originally came, men were forbidden to wear jewelry. What historians can prove is that pirates wore conspicuous chains, with no real mention or evidence of earrings. However, wearing earrings doesn't seem so far-fetched. The Jolly Roger flag wasn't just flown by pirates. There's no doubt that pirates had their own flag to identify themselves with. It was a black flag with a white skull and crossbones underneath. Ships' captains who saw this so-called skull and bones flag knew what was in store for them. Pirates Emmanuel Wynne and Edward England made the flag famous in the 1710s. Since then, it's certainly been one of the most well-known identification symbols for piracy. What's less known, however, is that some ships of the Royal Navy also used this form of the flag. Then it wasn't black, but reddish. The red skull and crossbones flag may have been a sign of pirate hunters and was perhaps the only thing that could chill the blood of the Caribbean's corsairs. Blackbeard's funny form of beard care. Blackbeard, real name Edward Teach, is one of the most notorious pirates ever. His reputation is that of a violent murderer who stalked through the West Indies in the 18th century. Apparently, it's all a myth, though. Blackbeard wasn't as wealthy as thought, not as bloodthirsty as assumed, and far smarter and more educated than his image would suggest. Blackbeard himself may have been responsible for creating these myths through an interesting trick. Because he stuck small candles in his long, wispy whiskers, the smoke emanating from these candles then enveloped his face, giving him a devilish countenance. Anyone who saw him like that had to assume automatically that he could only be the worst of all pirates. Pirates allowed few people to walk the plank. A gang of bloodthirsty, drunken men forced the crew of a captured ship to walk the plank until the plunge into the deep sea catches them one by one. This is roughly how many imagine the pastimes of early modern pirates between raids. In movies and books about pirates, the slow walk to death is portrayed as so feared that it functions as the ultimate punishment at sea. While this form of punishment existed, it was rare. As a rule, pirates let their captives live and simply abandoned them on land or released them for a fee. While pirates were certainly to be feared if you encountered them on water, they did still have hearts and a conscience, at least to an extent. Pirates were not bloodthirsty murderers for the most part. Rather, they simply wanted to steal and claim money, jewels, and riches. It wasn't the lives of other people they were after, not at all. This is why in most cases they could hold the crew of a ship captive until the person was able to pay the pirates a fee for them to be released. If the fee was never paid, they'd often be abandoned, but rarely killed. Were pirates the first mixologists? A mixologist focuses on creating new drink combinations, and that's exactly what the privateer Francis Drake is said to have done in 1586. He mixed mint, lime, rum, sugar, and tree bark for his sick crew, and what was perhaps the first cocktail in world history was ready. The drink, called El Drake, was not made for pleasure but as a medicine, and is said to have helped every member of Drake's crew get back on their feet. Not only were pirates fearsome people who shouldn't be toyed with, but many of them were quite intelligent. A lot of thought went into the pirates' various schemes, and for this they shouldn't be discredited in regards to their wit. Though many pirates also had a shocking knowledge of the natural world, as is evidenced by Francis Drake's infamous cocktail. Why did so many pirates wear eye patches? It's funny how many pirates sailed the Caribbean with eye patches on. Most think this covers eye injuries, but why should pirates injure themselves so often in just one eye? It could be because there were no injuries at all. Rather, the eye patches may have had a simpler reason. For example, pirates regularly had to deal with alternating daylight on deck and darkness below deck. Because the human eye takes time to adjust to sudden darkness, some historians now believe the eye patches were there to keep one eye in the dark, even on deck. Below deck, the eye patch was then pulled up to be able to see directly. In fact, it's possible to train an eye like this. However, it remains a theory related to pirates that has not yet been able to be confirmed by solid source evidence. Using only one eye would have been beneficial for another reason as well: using a telescope, if the ship were wealthy enough to have afforded one. After all, you can't use a telescope with both eyes. One needs to be closed. This would have been an added benefit of the eye patch, though it's unlikely this played an integral role in the purpose of wearing an eye patch, more of just a happy accident, if anything. Pirates knew about same-sex partnerships. While there were more female pirates than was thought for many years, it was arguably too few to sustain heterosexual norms. Instead, homosexuality was a common phenomenon among male pirates. They built a partially exclusively male society in the Caribbean that was fundamentally opposed to the norms of their strict home countries. That's why, for many pirates, it wasn't just completely normal to be homosexual. Rather, there was a form of document by which two men at sea could seal a same-sex partnership. This was also important because pirates could get something similar to risk insurance on their body parts. For example, if they lost a hand, they received compensation for it. A pirate who lost his partner was also entitled to compensation. So much for the lawless predators of the seas. In fact, these men and women were quite smart and followed an array of rules and regulations in their seemingly lawless land. Julius Caesar the Captive. The years 1650 to 1720 are considered the heyday of piracy. Up until then, there'd never been so many pirates in such a small area as in the Caribbean. But pirates, of course, existed much earlier. Even when Julius Caesar was alive, it was possible to be attacked by bandits at sea. This is what happened in 75 BC. At that time, Julius Caesar's ship was not only attacked by pirates in Cilicia, a region that's now part of the Turkish Mediterranean, but the later Roman emperor was also kidnapped by them. However, they were soon to realize that they had nabbed one of the greatest rulers of all time. At first, Caesar laughed at the small fee the pirates asked for his release. He then got them all to dance to his tune while he was enjoying himself in captivity, and after his release, he assembled a crew to hunt down and ultimately hang his captors. Caesar and his team are people that even pirates shouldn't mess with. Well, this was our video on bizarre pirate traditions you didn't know about. We hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you know other bizarre pirate traditions. If so, write us your thoughts about pirates in the comments for this video. Thank you for watching. Click on one of the pictures to watch another exciting video. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up, and to never miss new videos again, click subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.